welcome back. It's Laura. I just wanted to jump on and go live. I kind of want to share with all of you a little bit of a life update, what's been going on behind the scenes with me. I know I haven't really been posting any content connected to twin flame energies in about a week now. And so ever since that last full moon in Sagittarius, there was a lot of revelations. There was a lot of truth that kind of has been downloaded. I've been integrating a lot of energies all the way connected back to the start of this journey. So I don't very often share my personal life or my personal journey in the readings, but I do feel a need to kind of share with all of you how this journey began. And so I've been going back to the start recently. And so my twin flame journey began back in the spring of 2018 when I met the counterpart, and we did have a relationship for about a year. We dated, or at least I thought we had a relationship of some sort, and we went into separation on February 14th of 2019, and my life since then has been catalyzed onto this path. Before this whole twin flame experience and this awakening and this kundalini activation, I ran a home daycare. I was with a completely different person, the father of my youngest daughter, and life kind of got flipped upside down, and I went through two spirals of ascension, the beginning stages of my awakening, one in May of 2019, and another one 2 years later when we had Easter weekend, when we had Good Friday on April Fool's Day, and I believe that was in 2021. And so I've been on the path as a guide, as a twin flame guide, as a healer, as a channeler, as a mystic since those spirals of ascension. And the channel's grown. It's definitely grown quite a bit over the last few years, and I've been really called to integrate that lesson entirely. And so there's been a lot of revelations connected to this other person and the releasing and the letting go of this connection as part of the next phase of my journey. And I don't know what the future holds. I don't think any of us really know what the future holds, but we are going into a Cancer new moon tomorrow. And this really is the perfect time to set those new intentions, especially connected to home and family. And so I've been clearing a lot of ancestral beliefs, a lot of ancestral patterns. And I just wanted to share with you a little bit of random thoughts that I've been going through, because a lot of us on the journey as divine feminines, we get so used to filling everybody else's cup, and we forget to take that step back, and we forget to fill our own cup first, right? And so I just wanted to share with you kind of where I'm at and where I'm going forward with the channel. And so my passion really is astrology. When I first started the journey, it was connected to numerology and the tarot, and I've since expanded into the study of astrology. It's just something that I'm very passionate about, and connecting the dots, connected to transgenerational astrology patterns and clearing these ancestral lineage patterns that we've carried throughout generation after generation. And so I've kind of really been passionate about numbers and connecting the dots for several years now, especially as a single mother with two daughters. And I noticed there was a couple laughing emojis coming up on the screen. And until you have this experience, you really don't understand what we go through on this awakening journey as a twin flame, especially when you've had a spontaneous kundalini activation. It is something that is very unexpected. No, I'm not Muslim. I'm actually spiritual. I was born a Catholic. And so, and I do not practice religion. I don't believe in religion, but I do believe in a higher power. So I just wanted to share some of the journaled thoughts that I've been sitting with, because I recently went through a Mars return. And I also had my Mars return in that square to Uranus. And we did have that Mars square Uranus energy back on June 16th. And I've been integrating a lot of these lessons since the 16th. And I went down really bad after that Mars return with that square. And we also had Jupiter square Saturn that same day. And so the weight of this mission, the sacred rage, the frustration attached to the purging and the transmuting of the patterns and the energies was really heavy. And that's when I was kind of taken back to the visions of the beginning of the journey, right? When I had that first 3-day ascension, there was this vision of the sky raining money, which really indicated to me, which I thought was a huge lottery win. But in hindsight, looking back, this was a spiritual metaphor for This was a spiritual metaphor for the divine inheritance, right? That divine inheritance. And so I kept questioning throughout the years, why didn't that manifestation take root? Because I was shown the vision of New Earth and then coming into the realization of the metaphor, no matter the realness that I felt, right? And so I knew something was coming in divine timing, but I didn't quite know what. And I remember being shown the mission at the beginning of the journey and going through this major timeline shift, and that divine inheritance is that divine reward when we have that activation and the third eye pops and the crown chakra pops and we go even higher into the earth star chakra activation and beyond. And so it's really hard as a divine feminine on the twin flame journey to break free and release the old timeline of the survival templates while manifesting the new timeline, right? A lot of us are still operating out of that poverty consciousness while still feeling that connection and that oneness to the divine. And so when we go through this activation of the connection to the higher self, we're tapped into our guides, we're tapped into the energy of remembrance. And that really is the energy of the miracles that are possible on this journey. And so this awakening process, I do feel, is the releasing of the reinforced patterns, of the reinforced masks that we wear to cover up the deep-seated wounding. And when we cover up the wounding, though, then we do create more problems than we realize, right? So we go through this inner recalibration on the journey, and we do this for as many times as we need to, as many spirals as we need to, until we can get to that sustained energy of alignment. That is the goal of the twin flame mission, is to come into alignment, to come into integrity, because ultimately we block everything energetically until we come into that aligned state. And so future abundance is really what we're here to build, connected to these new earth timelines. And we all have the potential to tap into these gifts, but we also have to take that step back and we have to process these energies, right? Because we're all connected to this divine promise. And so we all are shown certain visions on the path. But a big lesson since that full moon in Sagittarius really was, we can't keep hustling, right? We can't keep pushing. We can't keep hustling, because then it leads to spiritual exhaustion. And that's really where I was at the last little bit, is this spiritual exhaustion, birthing this new paradigm while still being stuck in the old broken paradigm is actually exhausting, right? And so at times I think many of us go through the spiral of feeling like a failure. And this really is holy labor that we go through. And at times it does feel like we often do this for nothing. And so we have to go into the pain. We have to acknowledge the pain. And we do have to immerse ourselves into whatever is showing up as part of this healing process. And so we are divinely supported. I do want to remind all of the people on the twin flame path that we are always divinely supported, but we also have to learn how to receive, right? We can't keep giving and pouring into everybody else's cup without receiving and pouring into our own cup. And so we have to choose love. We have to choose to shut down sometimes in order to integrate a lot of these lessons. Because let's face it, the world tries to break us down, and it's in the breakdown that we do experience that breakthrough. And so I've been on the journey for a very long time. It's been many, many years with little to no movement externally connected to the other person as part of this awakening and activation. And a lot of times it does feel like that little child inside is abandoned over and over and over again. And it feels overwhelming, especially when you feel like you go unseen on the path. And so a lot of the feminines, we carry it all. We carry it all on our own for many years. And I know at times I just want to scream because it is so frustrating to hold on to a connection that has never poured back into you. And so I do feel at times the journey can feel impossible. There's a lot of karmic tension I feel that we've been working through since that full moon in Sagittarius. And I think a lot of us have been questioning the path recently, right? Questioning all of the triggering, especially connected to all of the deep subconscious patterns. And they do have to be triggered. They do have to be purged. All of the old memories that we have to kind of go through that resurface connected to childhood and past life timelines. All of this is part of the awakening and awakening the trauma. And so I do feel for a lot of us, it's coming up again for a deeper layer of clearing and understanding. And so if you're struggling with these feelings, if you are struggling with inadequacy wounds or with trusting your intuition or trusting your spiritual path, know that it is a part of the journey to question it at times, because we don't always know the next step. And it is a part, I feel, of fully surrendering on the journey. And so there's a polarity here that we have to balance out. We have to balance the polarity. We have to bring that into order. And with all of the current astrology taking place, it really is asking us all to show ourselves a little bit of grace and a little bit of compassion. And so I do feel it's time for a lot of us to take a step back, to reevaluate our service-based habits, especially with Mars in Virgo. Are they serving you? Are they no longer serving you? What still holds truth? What still holds resonance? What needs to be released? Because when we're in that state of confusion about our role as a healer, a guide, and a spiritual teacher, we do need to take a step back. And so right now I'm in this energy of a soul level detox, and it's not quite emotional per se, but it is a realignment. Hello, Mickey. Nice to see you on the live. And so we're all here, I want to say, to free ourselves from lifetimes of this emotional burden connected to the twin flame journey. And I know it's so hard to see the path forward when we have such an attachment to an outcome, to a specific person. And trust me, I know all about it. And even for me, there's still so much here that needs to fall away, right? And to make space. I want to be softer. I want to be more spiritually aligned. I want to be the best spiritually aligned version of myself. And that includes mind, body, and soul. And so oftentimes pouring into the channel and into holding space for the collective, I forget to pour into myself. And then I feel like I'm forced into that survival pattern. And so I do feel this deeper mission activation going on. And like I said, I'm really drawn to the astrology part of my path right now. And I am putting together a course with another astrologer connected to healing these patterns through astrology. And at the same time, I'm writing a book about the generational patterns within my astrological lineage. And there's a lot to unpack there, right? There's a lot to unpack. And so it's almost like right now I feel that reset button being pushed, especially with Pluto retrograde in my 12th house of Aquarius. It's dredging up all of these subconscious patterns. This new moon is activating my 4th house right now. It's just on the cusp between my 4th and my 5th house. I'm a 4th house in Gemini. And so I'm in another energy of questioning what my true divine purpose is. I know I'm that twin flame guide. I do feel I'm a divine feminine guide to help the feminine release. I want to say, like in my journal, I specifically wrote, I don't want this twin flame connection anymore. So what's next? What's next, right? I want to burn the past away. I know I can't shrink myself anymore. I can't keep dimming my light. It's time to own my power. It's time for all of the divine feminines to own their power. And so I've been taking that step back, detaching and being the observer of my thoughts and my reality and becoming more heart-centered. And so we all have to get to a point where we end that era with the twin flame. I know a lot of us hold on because we have that energy. We have that etherical bonding with this person. But right now I'm at that threshold where I need to let this go because there has been no movement in the external for my own connection, right? And so this was the most disruptive connection of my life, the most liberating, the most healing, the most beautiful connection. And at the same time, I feel it needs to be let go. And so right now I'm kind of confronting why I've held space for somebody that has not shown me that they want any part of this twin flame soul contract, right? And I think we all kind of get to a point where we have to release this to a certain point. And I thought that I had, but there's been so many people popping up from my past recently, almost like a spiritual test. Am I embodied? Am I grounded? Am I ready for the next level? And so I know a lot of us, we feel so unsafe when we go through this activation because it does trigger that abandonment wound, and we have to dismantle every single false foundation connected to our body, our mind, and our spiritual path. And we don't really know what the next chapter is going to hold. And so I've released a lot of rage in a healthy manner recently. But I did get to a point where I did want to kind of say, like, fuck this. Like, what am I doing all of this work for? I'm just flipping through my journal and sharing bits and pieces, right? Because we have the service and then we have the self, right? And we have to release sacrificial service energy on the path if we want that true freedom, right? And so right now I'm in this energy of seeking knowledge. I'm always seeking knowledge. I'm always seeking that knowledge. So I think right now, I think the message they want me to share with you, I will be doing a new moon in Cancer reading. I'll be recording it, pre-recording it after this. But we have to honor our voice. We have to honor our curiosity. We have to honor our duality, right? Because we are both masculine and feminine. We have to honor our healing gifts and our service mission. And we do have to get to a place of mastery, right? We have to honor our truth. We have to honor our wisdom. And we have to honor this mission. So honor your intuition. If it's telling you to take a step back, honor that. I know there was several weeks where it was just so spiritually heavy. The energy was heavy and I kept pushing and pushing anyway. And I'm not meant to keep pushing at this point in time. And I know I absorb a lot of information when we go through these transits. I take on a lot of energy. I have to deal with a lot of projections from people, as you can see some of them in the comments. And we also have to learn when to say no. And so boundaries are big, right? And so right now I have to create space for all of this integration, so I can step into the next level. So I think working with the root chakra is really going to be beneficial for a lot of the divine feminines. And remember, the receiving side is the left side of the body. And so that is the receiving energy. And I do want to point out, I sliced my pinky finger while feeding the cats too, while taking this little step back. And the pinky finger is connected to trust, integrity, and interpersonal expression. And so it was like just a sliver of a cut, but boy, did it bleed and hurt really bad. And so there was this Mercury energy, I feel, receiving messages. I was receiving messages about overgiving, right? Because I had this little mundane cut from a mundane act, like feeding the cats. Once again, something that yes, I'm right there with you. I don't know. So maybe a covert narcissist, an avoidant attachment style person. But yeah, I've been right back to the anger of the beginning of the journey, and I've been sitting with releasing this connection once and for all. And I'm starting to realize, like, the divine feminine, the divine masculine. I do believe in divine counterparts, but I don't believe the person that activated me is the divine counterpart, and I attach this awakening and that energy to that person. I do believe the twin flame journey is about a narcissist empathic bond, and the divine feminine is here to take back her power. I know a lot of people are saying we're drained. If something is draining your energy, they are not for you. So when we leak our energy, I actually wrote here in my journal, is there a leak in your intuitive reception? Where are we leaking our energy? Right? And so there's like a warning that came through for me. And so there's a contract here, right? Between this person that activates us. There's a contract here, an unspoken contract. And right now, I think a lot of the divine feminines are reevaluating this contract, right? And healing our own communication wounds to the past. And so what I journaled was, don't ignore the small cuts, which is that mirror reflection of this journey. Don't ignore the small cuts and the small red flags. Because I felt this deep ache of like imbalance that I've been working through over the last week or so, where I've sacrificed so much in the name of love for this person who has basically kicked me while I was down, has never given me anything, where I have given to this journey and this connection endlessly, and I've received nothing back. And so that cutting of the pinky finger was really my energetic output into this connection and receiving nothing back. And so, yes, this is a spiritual bond, but we have to stop feeding energy to people, places, and things that drain us. And so we can't deny what we see, whatever that painful clarity is. I do believe it's here for a lot of us. And Yeah, it's here for a lot of us. And so I could cry right now thinking about this. So like that facade that the facade that this other person wears, I have to say it's not our responsibility. We can't try to fix this person. We can't keep trying to decode this person anymore. We can't hold space for somebody who doesn't show up for us. And that's what I've done since 2019. And we're not wrong for loving, okay? We're not wrong for loving. We're not wrong for loving this person unconditionally. But now it's time to love ourselves. We have to love ourselves enough to release this, to be able to receive what is meant for us. And so trust that it's time to let go, because I know I've bled out for years for this person and for this connection. And this cut of my finger was like the sacred severing, which is why I haven't been drawn to do twin flame readings lately, because my focus is shifting on the channel, because the deeper lesson is coming full circle, because it was never really about that person. It was always about me and all of the places of my life where I've accepted breadcrumbs in return for this soul level giving that I give out there into the universe and connections. And so we need to realize soul contracts require mutual willingness, they require active evolution on both parts, and they do require reciprocal energy. And so let's face it, even if this person wasn't a covert narcissist, but that's the mirroring energy they're projecting, we have to get to a point where we realize this person has opted out of this connection. They have no desire to come into union, or they would be with us right now in this moment. And like, how many years are we going to hold on to this twin flame story? How many years are we going to hold on to it until we release it? Now, I do believe in twin flame readings per se, but I do believe it is a bond that is meant to be broken, that it is not healthy. We can't stay bound to spiritual stasis with a person that is not growing, that is not evolving, that is draining our energy. And so over the course of the next few weeks, I'm going to be getting back on track with doing daily readings. So be patient with me. I will start with the Cancer new moon reading. I'm not sure how I'm going to incorporate it all, but we are going to still talk about the astrology and how to integrate these lessons. We're going to incorporate the cards, but it's going to be more geared toward growth, and setting ourselves free from these patterns, because I am community oriented. I am here for a spiritual purpose to help others illuminate their path on their healing journey. And I'm really excited where I'm going. I know there's going to be a lot of big changes with Saturn going retrograde and Neptune going retrograde. And my devotion to the channel and my subscribers is still there, but the focus is shifting, right? And so I know there are divine masculines on my channel too. And those that are doing the work as a divine masculine, thank you for doing that work, and thank you for showing up as a healed masculine energy, because you have a gift to offer the world too. And I appreciate the divine masculines that have found my channel and have shared a bit of their story as well on the channel. But I think we're all doing some sacred work right now, and it feels like a great big pause. And I just want you all to know you're not alone on the journey, even when it feels like you're alone, because I know at times it feels like we're all alone. And I've been doing this single motherhood journey for, oh gosh, like almost 15 years now. I raised my first daughter from 6 weeks pregnant by myself, with not a dime in child support. And that pattern then repeated with my youngest daughter, who's going to be 9 before the end of the year. And so at times it feels like we're in this alone, and we need to remember we're allowed to grant ourselves those moments of rest, those moments of holding ourselves and being held by the divine, and not just holding others. And I think like the first part of this journey up until this point was really about holding others and giving my all to this service mission. And now I have to incorporate it a little bit differently. So I hope you all stay with me with where I'm going to take the channel moving forward, which I'm not really 100% sure. But we do have the inner strength to empower ourselves to break free from this never-ending story of going round and round on the twin flame journey, because we are whole as we are, just as we are. We don't need anything external to us to honor this mission, to honor this awakening. I truly believe The Kundalini activation is activated with a karmic soul contract because of the past life soul ties and the many lifetimes that we have been together, right? You think of the polarity, the negative and the positive polarity, right? And oftentimes opposites attract. But at a certain point in time, we have to repel that same story, and we have to honor our own journey, right? Because it is blocking that abundance consciousness that I think is trying to come in. That's another thing I've been working through, is that scarcity mindset, of why can't I call in that new chapter, is because I'm holding on to something from the past that is not meant to be held on to. So trust in the foundation that you've been working towards building, because I think we are kind of ready for that next chapter, but we do have to clear the little bit of remnants from this twin flame story that we've told ourselves throughout the years. So I'm just glad to be here. I'm glad that all of you are here. I look forward to where we're going, and I look forward to getting back on track with the channel. So I hope you all have a great day. I'm looking forward to seeing you all on the video tomorrow, and we'll just see where this journey takes us moving forward. Thanks for being here.